What is going on, guys? Johnny on the track back with another video. And today we have a very special guest. It's been a long time since I've sort of done any of this podcast feel. Obviously, as you guys know, as part of the channel, a lot of what we do now is betting, and we have some guests on in the betting sphere. But if you've been watching this channel for a while, you remember that it started as a podcast, and one of the first people that I ever had on that podcast is the man joining me now. He is a three-time Whelen Modified Tour champion. He's got over 40 career wins on the Modified Tour, I believe 41 to be exact, Justin. And now even better, which is just crazy to think about. And I cannot wait to hear everything, surrounding this opportunity. He's going to make his Xfinity Series debut driving the number 19 Toyota Supra for Joe Gibbs Racing at his home track, my home track, I guess from a Cup Series perspective, on June 22nd at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Justin, you're doing your own version of the double, if you will. We saw all the talk with Kyle Larson. You're going to be running that Xfinity race, and then shortly after, you'll be running that Mod Tour race. But man, just thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been a while, but glad you reached out and glad to come back onto the show.
Sweet. All right, let's start. We're definitely going to get into the Xfinity deal you got going on, but let's start with Modified Tour. 5 races into the big season, you're just 14 points back of defending champ Ron Silk. Got the win at Richmond. How do you feel like your season's gone so far? From a team perspective, how do you feel? What's that been like this year so far?
Yeah, it's been a pretty solid start. We're always hoping to be a little better. Ron and his team is really on it right now, and they have a lot of raw speed at every racetrack we go to. And we're just a half a step behind, we feel. So we've been working hard since Riverhead, talking about some things we want to try this weekend at Seekonk, and just hopefully go in a little bit different of a direction to try and get the cars to drive, what I'm looking for out of them, just a little bit different. Things have changed over the last couple of years with tires and setups, and everything's evolved, and we just need to kind of rethink some things that we've been doing and take some things out of the race car that we've had to do to overcome some other issues. So we're going to try and, try some new stuff this weekend at Seekonk. Hopefully it runs better for us, and hopefully that's, gets us pointed in the right direction for the summer months here in the second half of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Seekonk, about 45 minutes north of me. Hopefully, I can make my way up to that race. I'm still trying to get some buddies to go with me, but we'll see if I make my way up north. When you say trying some new stuff, like I guess for people that might not know much about a Modified Tour car and how that racing is, when you say try some new stuff, what does that exactly mean?
I would just adjust the setup. The tires during the COVID years, they just started making them a little differently, and it required the setups to be a little bit different for the car to handle for a long race of 150 or 200 laps. And we evolved our setups to go to those tires, and we just haven't really gotten back to where we need to be, where the car is turning through the center of the corner.
Yeah.
As well as you need to, and then when it turns through the center, it'll drive up off, and you'll see that you'll start to gap people with forward drive off the corner. So those are some of the things with the racetracks we race at. They're so small and such bull rings that rolling through the center of the corner has been important, and that's where we feel we're getting beat a little bit. So we've Ranstone and I have been talking and just trying to come up with a plan of what we think to try this weekend, and hopefully we can make a step in the right direction and start contending for wins back again like we're used to.
Absolutely. Well, good luck this weekend. Looking forward to see how that result pulls out for you guys. Let's talk. I guess one more question around the Modified Tour in this opportunity that you'll have come June. How do you feel that the Modified Tour in this series has prepared you for this opportunity that you've got lined up at New Hampshire?
Yeah, Mod Tour is it's a great place. Been there for almost 15 years, I think now, and it's just a bunch of hard-nosed racers. We'll all get out and we'll be friendly with each other, but it just prepares you for everything that NASCAR has for structure and schedule. The Modified Tour is very similar in that aspect. So you understand what's expected of you before the race, during the race, after, all the procedures of the rules, the restarts, pit road, a lot of those things, and then just racecraft. As being a guy on the tour for so long now, you know when and when not to push or try and be aggressive, and just years of experience will hopefully help bridge that gap, and just having experience at New Hampshire itself will hopefully
Mhm.
make the learning curve as small as possible. But obviously, it's a totally different beast that we're going to get into here with that type of race car compared to what I'm used to. So we're going to learn on the fly and hopefully figure it out.
Yeah, no, I think you will. My fingers are crossed, but I've seen you enough to think that you guys can handle that. Um, I guess what I find something always I find interesting on my end is when you talk about like that experience, short track racers, that community, it does oftentimes I feel like correlate. You look like a guy like Josh Berry, right? You kind of understand, okay, he knows how to save his stuff, keep his tires fresh, like, I don't know, like, when I look at someone like you, I feel like what you kinda just described is something that, we can see, right, in that Xfinity car, it'll be useful. I don't know, t talk to me a little bit about, like, how that sort of, what you see from, like, short track racers kind of, can resonate into, right, the top 3 series.
I think it's a lot of it is just experience of knowing how to approach a race, especially a longer race, and knowing and understanding where your car is at the start of a run, if you're too tight, you're too loose, and just knowing what adjustments you might need at a pit stop, and just making sure you get yourself to that pit stop without losing too much track position, without
Mhm,
pushing the car too much. You have some later in enough tire left later in the run, so it's really just experience and racecraft and just being around it for so long. It's all those things that it helps guys like Josh Berry make his learning curve way easier. I felt just 15, 20 years of experience down south in late model stocks made jumping into an Xfinity car pretty much, he made it look pretty easy for a long time. They won a bunch of races, contended in the championship four and everything around it. So I just think being a veteran and all those things of experience will always help you. Anytime you're in a race car, you're always learning something, good or bad. So it's always, experience never hurts, I feel.
Yeah, no, for sure, and that's great perspective, hearing it from the horse's mouth. So, let's talk about the opportunity. How did this come about? I know you got a similar opportunity at Daytona to run an ARCA car. I was right. Literally said as soon as I saw that opportunity on Twitter, I said, just wait until practice. He's going to show signs. And of course, you were fast at practice. But how did this all come about? And was this something you, as a race car driver, the way you have kind of grinded through the ranks, is this something that you ever thought would be possible in your path?
It really all stems back to the ARCA race and being invited to do the Road to Daytona test in January with ARCA. I got invited because Ron Silk was unable to attend. They invite the previous year champion to do that test as a basically reward for winning the championship and just saying you able to do laps at Daytona. And he was unable to make it last minute, and I was able to have some availability to in my schedule to make that trip. And I thought it's a free trip to go to Daytona and run laps. And a day or two went by, but right after we decided to do it, and I was like, wow, we should start thinking about possibly looking for a ride for the race if possible. Trying to secure funding, trying to find a team a month before the race, a capable team that we thought we can have a shot to win with. And we were able to put a lot of things together in a short amount of time there for the ARCA race. Unfortunately, we had an oil line get burn a hole on the header, and it kind of ended our day. And came home from that race with a couple of sponsors that were interested in pursuing future opportunities. And we, kind of thought, Ken Massa, my modified tour owner, and I, one of my best friends, business partner, we talked and said, maybe we should try and pursue something a little bigger and see where everything lands sponsorship wise and everything that goes into it. So made a couple phone calls to a few different Xfinity teams, and We figured to start with the best opportunity we could think of, which would be Joe Gibbs Racing. Their stats don't they tell the story right there. Their cars are fast each and every week, and they're the premier team. So we got in touch with Steve D'Souza, the VP of the Xfinity program, and a couple conversations later, he's like, we have New Hampshire available. I think it would be a really cool opportunity if you can put together the sponsorship necessary. And he thought my experience there would help, and just the fact of doing the double was a really cool storyline that people would follow along with, and it just everything kind of came together really quick. And they, fortunately for me, had an opening where they needed a driver with the 19 team that they've.
Mhm.
That's kind of a rotation car this year. They have different drivers in it a lot of weeks. So yeah, it came together fairly quickly, and we were able to put it all together. I've been down to the Gibbs shop already, did a seat fitting, and met with the guys, and spent a couple days there. So that was really cool. Going back, I guess in a week and a half or so, to do some pit practice and the Toyota simulator, and just meet with the team, do the final seat fitting, see the car that I'm actually going to race. So it's all come together fairly quick over the last maybe 2 months, and we kind
Seems
of
like it.
yeah, we were able to keep a pretty good secret. I don't think a lot of people saw that, this opportunity come in. And, it really stems back to the ARCA thing. I kind of drew some interest from it and left there. And, I'm getting a little older in racing terms, but I just feel like there's some bucket list things and opportunities never really presented themselves in the past financially or with teams. And both of those things kind of, as years have gone on, have gotten harder, and I pursued them less. But this year, kind of all is, it just kind of appeared really quickly, and we pursued them, and it worked out. So at 36, it's things that you want to do before you get too old, and I never really wanted to do it unless I thought it was with a team that was capable of winning. I don't want to do it just to say I did it. I really will hope to go out there and be competitive, hopefully run really well all day long, not do anything to make any mistakes on pit road, and just hopefully have a good run, and hopefully contend in the top 10 and top 5 if possible.
Yeah, well, definitely at one point we're going to talk about goals, but yeah, I mean that's honestly a fascinating story, quite frankly. And you mentioned some of those conversations, phone calls. I think a lot of people would want to know: have you spoken directly to Joe Gibbs? I mean, you're talking a guy that is a NFL Hall of Famer, three-time Super Bowl champion, NASCAR Hall of Famer. I think like a nine-time champion in NASCAR. I guess one, have you spoken to him? And then put that aside if you haven't, what is that like to be representing just that figure in sports?
Yeah, I haven't met Joe yet. I do believe he is at the shop, I'm told, almost every day, but the Xfinity shop is a different building than the Cup shop, and he's at every race. So I would assume I will get the opportunity to meet him when we get to New Hampshire, and I'm excited for that. And actually, Tommy Baldwin on my behalf walked right up to Joe before we signed any paperwork, and was asking questions on my behalf. Fellow Long Island guy trying to help me out with some advice, and Joe passed that along to Steve D'Souza, and we were able to, finalize everything. So I'm looking forward to hopefully meeting them. It is going to be cool to represent their company, and hopefully just have a good run. I mean, they are the team you want to be with, and really thankful for the opportunity and the team. I met with the entire team from the crew chief Seth down to some of the setup guys in the shop. They were all really, really cool. We went to lunch, and just a bunch of racers. So I'm really looking forward to the opportunity. And at the same time, hoping to go out and have two really good runs as fast as we've been there with the modified over the last handful of years. We're not looking to take anything away from that. I think we can go out and hopefully put ourselves in position to win that race.
I know you're used to, a fierce level of competition, Silk, right? Patrick Emmerling, Priest, when you get to race him, um, you know, that translates right to the Xfinity series. You're going to be racing a guy like Eric Almirola, who I believe is racing that. That'll be your teammate that race. Alex Bowman is an entry into that race. Hendrick Motorsports star, right? Then you've got regulars like Justin Allgaier, rising star like Chandler Smith. What is what's the mindset of going into that, of like that level of competition? Does it make you nervous? Does it make you excited? Like I get to be a part of that. What is that mindset?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think Tony Stewart said it once: the day you don't get nervous is probably the day you got to stop racing. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of nerves. It's something new. but the modified tour is and modified racing in general is a great place to prepare you for excuse me, for stuff like this. Like I said
Mhm.
before, it's a bunch of hard-nosed blue collar guys that we race each other's guts out.
Yeah.
It gets testy at times. Rahan and I didn't talk for months after towards the end of last year. We've been friends since we were little kids. So it's just one of them series that it prepares you, I think, for a lot of different aspects of racing at higher levels, and it could teach you life lessons at the same times too. So I'm prepared, I feel, on that side of things. But the practice is limited. The
Yeah.
simulator time is limited. Pit road practice is limited. There's a lot of things that are going to be, you know, I'm still very new at as the day goes
Mhm.
on. So I'm hoping to just put together a solid day, not make any mistakes on my end. I know the car is going to be fast. It'll have raw speed. I just don't want to do something too stupid to take myself out of contention of running well.
You mentioned life lessons. I bring up the term, right, advice. Have you reached out to anybody in the garage, or maybe not in the garage, maybe it's family members that you feel like know you best, that have maybe given you some advice? So what has that been like so far?
Not a lot yet. I talked to Ryan Priest and Tommy Baldwin quite a bit before this announcement. They're guys I knew I could trust and lean on for that have been down this road before through the whole process, and they were really helpful getting me to the point of feeling comfortable with everything and my
Mhm.
decision. And I lean on my wife a lot for advice at home and just decisions that we're going to make as a family. But really, I'd go to Ken Massa, my modified car owner, the most. He's been one of my best friends for 15 years now. We've been together. He probably knows me better than anybody, even my wife at this point. I've known him triple the time I've known my wife. And, you know, he's uh he's really knowledgeable when it comes to business and a lot of the decisions you need to make in life and as you get older. And he's really, nothing has been decided without going into his office, which is down the hall from mine, and talking to him about what we need to do and what decisions we need to make. And as far as sponsorship that has
Yeah.
come about, where to place that person and how much we can ask for. And he's just really business savvy, and he's been really helpful with the whole process. And it's nice to have people in your corner like that. There's been a lot of support after the announcement through social media. A lot of people, from the modified community were happy for us. And I know, when Ryan got these opportunities, the social media stuff was awesome. So I'm hoping that we can, make people proud in our community, no matter if people hated Ryan Priest, everybody still cheered for him when he was at the Daytona 500 for the first time. So, I hope we continue to have that support, and I know my inner group and my close friends and family will continue to help me along the way on all these decisions, and the nerves and just everything that'll go into that weekend. And then, the modified tour guys as well. My whole team,
Yeah.
they've been supportive of the opportunity, and they're not worried about anything that on the modified side. So I'm sure they're going to help make the day easier too, the whole weekend of bouncing back and forth. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean that's great insight and perspective. I feel like so many times, like, you guys are race car drivers, like drivers, race car drive, that's what you are. But I feel like so many times people don't understand all the business aspects, from the sponsors to, quite frankly, when you guys just open your mouth and talk, right? Like, you have to say certain things, and it's just like people don't always understand that, and especially people that might not tune in on a weekly basis to NASCAR. Like, talent, unfortunately, in this sport can only get you so far. Like, so much of it is politics, it's business. And so I just appreciate that insight on all the background stuff that I feel like people just don't understand.
Yeah,
You did
it's tough.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. And again, we've had plenty of guests back when I did this podcast more, right? And they all said the same thing. And that's the tough part about racing. There's just so much extracurricular stuff that goes into it that I feel like people just don't see. But you sort of mentioned a little bit of goals when you strap into that car on June. I want to get the date right. June 22nd, 3:30 p.m. What what is that goal for you? Is it to win? Is it you kind of mentioned running competitive, but you're a winner. I mean, you know what it feels like to be in victory lane. Like, what is that real goal for you?
I mean, if you're not going there with the thought in your own personal mind that you can't win the race, then you're just wasting your time. You're
Right.
wasting other people's time, money. So obviously the goal is to go there and contend and hopefully win the race at the end of the day. But to be realistic, in a series that I've never been in a race car I've never been in, with 20 minutes of practice, probably going to go out first or second for qualifying, you have to manage those goals and expectations. So, and that series is, one of the toughest series probably in racing right now. They put on some of the best races. As I'm still a race fan, I watch it almost every week, and you have to be realistic. So, in my
Mhm.
first attempt, in my first start, if we can run top 10, I mean, heck, if we can run top 5, that's going to be a really solid day. More than anything, I just want to run all the laps, not speed on pit road, not get into somebody and cause a problem. I want to have a good day, give good feedback to the race team,
Yep.
making good adjustments throughout the race, listening to what they need me, advice they're given from the pit box. They can help a lot in that series with the technology that those cars have. So just looking for a really solid day. This is not it's not a goal to go full-time Xfinity racing, but I do hope to make more starts. So if I can
Right.
learn a lot, and then this potentially the second time we get to make a start, that learning curve will be even smaller with my knowledge of the car. So just running the full day smooth and doing the right things to make the team happy, and just have a good showing is the most important. But I am hoping to go there and contend for the win. I wouldn't go there if I didn't think I could. I'm going to be in a Joe Gibbs car. I have a lot of experience at Loudon, so I'm just hoping for a good solid day, I guess, more than anything.
I love it, man. So excited for you. One more here, but before we let you go, if there is one thing that you want casual racing fans, or maybe people that don't know much about you and your path, to take away when you step out of that car, what is that? What does that look like? What do you want that last thought of that casual fan to say, man, that guy put on a hell of a race? Like, what is that?
More than anything, I just want them to know that I'm a racer and I come from a racing family that I've been doing this my entire life. I'm 36 years old. Like I said, I've been racing since I was 6 or 7 years old. My parents and that's how my parents met. My uncle and my uncles grew up racing with my dad. My wife and I met through racing. I'm just more than anything a racer, and I try to do the right thing, and put out a good perspective for how I race and the desire I have to win, and just everything that goes into it. And more than anything, I really hope that we could shed some light on the Whelen Modified Tour and modified
Right.
racing in general after that event. I want people to know that, hopefully with a good run, that these modified guys are really good at what they do. And it just sheds some light on the series so we can get more viewers, more eyes on our series, and they can see how good our racing can be, especially at Loudon. If they go over from
Oh my
NBC
gosh.
to Flow right after, they're going to see a really amazing race. So there's a lot of young guys in our series on the modified tour right now that could be the next up and coming guys with the right opportunity. And if I could just shed a little bit of light on that for them to possibly get an opportunity, that would be a big win in my eyes. Guys like Austin Beers, Jake Johnson, Luke Baldwin. There's a ton of young kids. Carson Lofton, a lot of young kids right now in their late teens and early 20s that deserve in a couple of years to work their way up the ladder. This is a tough sport. I'm not saying they're going to get there, but if we could just have a little bit of eyes put on us, and
Mhm.
show how good our guys are, maybe that does help them down the road.
Love it, man. And yeah, you that best show in the Northeast is that modified tour at New Hampshire Motor Speedway every single
Yeah,
year.
hands down.
Final lap.
It's tough to beat that type of racing.
It's crazy. It's just that track, I feel like, is just designed perfectly to race a modified. It really is something special. So yes, if you're listening and you watch Justin in the Xfinity race, if you've got tickets, you have them for both. So make sure you stick around and watch Justin and all the guys in the modified tour. And yeah, if you got Flow Racing, you can get nice back-to-back racing on that Saturday. Justin, it's been a pleasure. I'm now frozen, but that's okay. We made it perfect, the exact time we needed there. So appreciate you coming on, and best of luck to you. We'll be rooting for you in that 19 car.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you being having me on again, and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely.